Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast.
Today, we are discussing Chapter 75, The Lies of the Compass.
And what a title, because the moral compass of this whole arc just got shattered into a million pieces. We open on a gut punch and we end on an even bigger one. This chapter is just pure, uncut emotional damage from start to finish.
Johnny arrives with news that is, frankly, unbelievable. He claims Nami killed Usopp.
He says it with his whole chest, too. It's not a question, it's a declaration. And it's a moment that could break this crew before it even really starts. They're so new, you know? They've got the boat, they've got the cook, but they're still just getting their sea legs as a real crew. A betrayal like this, it's an existential threat.
If you want to be on this ride with us every week as we figure out what's a lie and what's the truth, you should probably be subscribed to the show. It's the best way to make sure you never miss a piece of the puzzle.
A good way to put it, because this chapter is all puzzle pieces. Some are loud and explosive, others are quiet and menacing. Let's start with the loudest ones.
Right, so Luffy and Sanji are getting towed at high speed by Momo, the sea cow they wrangled. And it's not a smooth ride. This isn't a gentle cruise into port. This is full-on water skiing behind a terrified giant bovine. They get launched, absolutely launched into the air as Momo just face plants into the island.
It's a very undignified arrival. Oda gives us this moment of pure slapstick comedy right before tearing our hearts out. They crash land, naturally, directly on top of Zoro, who is in the middle of a dead sprint.
Of course, the patented straw hat reunion method, high velocity impact. It's like a law of physics in their universe. They can't just meet up on a dock and say hello. Someone has to be used as a landing cushion. But Zoro isn't laughing. He is laser focused. He tells them Usopp has been captured, that they have to save him from Arlong before he's killed. The urgency is real.
There's no time for gags. Zoro understands the stakes immediately. Think about his journey so far. He just faced Mihawk. He has a new, profound understanding of what true power in this world looks like. He's not underestimating anyone anymore. He looks at this situation and... Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast.
Today, we are discussing Chapter 75, The Lies of the Compass.
And what a title, because the moral compass of this whole arc just got shattered into a million pieces. We open on a gut punch and we end on an even bigger one. This chapter is just pure, uncut emotional damage from start to finish.
Johnny arrives with news that is, frankly, unbelievable. He claims Nami killed Usopp.
He says it with his whole chest, too. It's not a question, it's a declaration. And it's a moment that could break this crew before it even really starts. They're so new, you know? They've got the boat, they've got the cook, but they're still just getting their sea legs as a real crew. A betrayal like this, it's an existential threat.
If you want to be on this ride with us every week as we figure out what's a lie and what's the truth, you should probably be subscribed to the show. It's the best way to make sure you never miss a piece of the puzzle.
A good way to put it, because this chapter is all puzzle pieces. Some are loud and explosive, others are quiet and menacing. Let's start with the loudest ones.
Right, so Luffy and Sanji are getting towed at high speed by Momo, the sea cow they wrangled. And it's not a smooth ride. This isn't a gentle cruise into port. This is full-on water skiing behind a terrified giant bovine. They get launched, absolutely launched into the air as Momo just face plants into the island.
It's a very undignified arrival. Oda gives us this moment of pure slapstick comedy right before tearing our hearts out. They crash land, naturally, directly on top of Zoro, who is in the middle of a dead sprint.
Of course, the patented straw hat reunion method, high velocity impact. It's like a law of physics in their universe. They can't just meet up on a dock and say hello. Someone has to be used as a landing cushion. But Zoro isn't laughing. He is laser focused. He tells them Usopp has been captured, that they have to save him from Arlong before he's killed. The urgency is real.
There's no time for gags. Zoro understands the stakes immediately. Think about his journey so far. He just faced Mihawk. He has a new, profound understanding of what true power in this world looks like. He's not underestimating anyone anymore. He looks at this situation and sees a legitimate threat, a man who could kill their friend.
That's a great point. He's not the same guy who thought he could cut anything. He's humbled, and that makes his fear for Usopp feel so much heavier. And just as he's about to run off to go save his crewmate, Johnny shows up, and he looks wrecked, absolutely broken. The art here is fantastic. His eyes are just hollowed out. He's covered in dirt. His posture is slumped. This isn't the cocksure bounty hunter we've known.
He stops Zoro. He tells them it's too late. He delivers the news like a man confessing a sin. And then he delivers the line, Nami killed Usopp. And everything just stops. The momentum, the humor, the frantic energy, all of it just hits a brick wall. Oda builds up this frantic energy of we gotta go save our friend, and then just yanks the rug out under you. Masterful and cruel. You can almost hear the record scratch in your head as you read it.
The shock on their faces says it all. Sanji, who has been nothing but heart eyes for Nami, is just frozen. His entire chivalrous worldview is short-circuiting. For him, a woman, especially one as beautiful as Nami, is an angel. The idea that she could be a cold-blooded killer is so foreign to his code that his brain just ceases to function.
And Zoro, who never shows much emotion, is completely stunned. His mouth is hanging open. This is the guy who took a slash from the world's greatest swordsman and barely flinched, and now he looks like he's seen a ghost. It shows how deeply he was already starting to trust Nami as part of the team. The betrayal hits him just as hard, even if he wouldn't admit it.
What makes it so effective is that Johnny is a credible witness. He isn't malicious. He's genuinely heartbroken. I feel like he really worshipped Nami. For him to believe this, he must have seen something truly convincing. He's not lying. He's relaying a truth he perceived, which is far more dangerous.
Exactly. It's not a rumor. It's an eyewitness account from a friend. And Luffy? We'll get to Luffy, but first, Oda, in his infinite sadistic wisdom, cuts away. He leaves us hanging in that horrible silence and takes us somewhere else. He lets that accusation just marinate in the air.
We see the villagers from Gosa, the ones who survived Arlong's Mampage. They're huddled together, their homes destroyed, their hope gone. And then they spot a ship on the horizon, a marine ship.
Hope, right? The good guys are here. The world government, the symbol of justice and order, has finally shown up. Commodore Pudding Pudding of the 77th branch. He gives this big, noble speech about justice, about not overlooking a pirate base, about rescuing the survivors. This is what the Marines are supposed to be.
It is, but think about the context here. Arlong has been on this island for a long time. Where have the Marines been? Why is it a Commodore we've never heard of from a branch Arlong has never heard of? The 77th branch sounds like it's from the absolute backwater of the East Blue.
That's a super important detail. Arlong hears they're here, and he's just dismissive. He's lounging in his pool, a drink in his hand, like someone just told him the mail is running late. He's like, 77th branch, never heard of him, must be new. It's not fear, it's not even annoyance, it's just business.
His first instinct isn't to fight, it's to bribe. He tells his crew to offer them a 2 million belly bribe, and if they refuse, dispose of them. It's so casual. He treats the world government's military arm like a mild inconvenience, a piece of paperwork to be filed or thrown away.
This tells you everything about the power dynamic in the East Blue. A captain like Morgan was a tyrant in his little town. Don Krieg had a fleet and thought he was the king of the sea. But Arlong has an empire. He has a system. He thinks he can buy or bury the law. He has integrated corruption into his business model.
It implies this has happened before, that other marine branches have either taken the money or been disposed of. Arlong has established a sphere of influence so powerful that the world government either can't or won't challenge it effectively. He's carved out his own nation.
And just as he's saying this, a cannonball is fired at Arlong Park, a direct challenge. Commodore Pudding Pudding is, if nothing else, a man of his word. He's not here to negotiate.
A fatal miscalculation on his part. He's playing by the rules of the outside world, but he has just entered Arlong's world.
The crew warns him, Arlong-san, incoming! And he doesn't even flinch. He doesn't move. He doesn't dive for cover. He just turns, opens his mouth, and catches the cannonball in his teeth.
He doesn't just catch it, he bites down. Oda gives us a full-page spread for this. The gabu sound effect is huge. You feel the impact.
He crushes it. He shatters a solid iron cannonball with his jaw and then spits out the fragments like they're nutshells. That's not a feat of strength. That's a statement. That's Oda showing us in one single action that the physical threat level here is on a whole other planet than what we've seen before. Luffy can break swords with his teeth, sure, but this is a whole other level of monstrous.
Don Krieg had armor and weapons to make himself a threat. Captain Kuro had speed and blades. Arlong is the weapon. His biology is his greatest asset. That single moment communicates more about his power than a whole chapter of fighting could.
It's a statement of racial superiority. He is showing them that their human technology, their ultimate weapon of naval warfare, is a snack to him.
He just spits out the metal and says, cancel the negotiations. Cold, absolutely ice cold. That single action was the entire negotiation. He showed them who was in charge. And his top guys, his officers, step up.
We see Hachin, the octopus fishman, Chu, the smelt whiting fishman, and Kurobi, the ray fishman. And their designs are so unique. Hachin with his 6 arms and his friendly, almost dopey expression, Chu with his puckered, cannon-like mouth, and Kurobi who looks like a serious martial artist.
And they're almost disappointed. They're like, you're sending all 3 of us for this? They treat taking out a marine battleship like it's a chore, like their dad asked them to take out the trash. The sheer arrogance is terrifying because you just know they can back it up.
And for them, it is. What happens next is a chillingly efficient display of what fishmen can do in their element. It's not a battle. It's a slaughter.
It's a clinic. Chu leaps onto the deck of the marine ship and just starts blasting everyone with water bullets from his mouth. He fires them with the speed and force of actual bullets. He neutralizes the entire crew in seconds. No swords, no guns, just pure biology as a weapon.
It's a perfect example of asymmetric warfare. The Marines are prepared for a ship-to-ship cannon battle. They aren't prepared for a living anti-infantry turret to leap onto their deck and take out everyone before they can even reload.
At the same time, Kuroubi is underwater. He swims up to the ship's rudder and just rips it off with his bare hands. He must practice some form of fishman karate because we see that raw power.
The ship has no crew and no steering. It's dead in the water, a floating coffin.
And then comes Hachin. With his 6 arms, he gets behind the ship and just shoves it. You'd think with 6 arms he'd be using swords, but he doesn't even need them here. He just uses his brute strength to push the entire vessel into a reef.
The combination of the current, the damaged hull, the lack of control?
It creates a whirlpool. The ocean itself becomes their executioner. The ship is just sucked down into the depths, taking Commodore Pudding Pudding and all his men with him.
He came proclaiming justice, and the sea just swallowed him whole.
It's a complete and utter defeat. The hope of the Gosa villagers is extinguished in less than 2 pages. It's a brutal lesson about the reality of this island. No one is coming to save them.
Gone. The hope of the island. Gone in less than a minute. And the way they talk about it afterwards, that's almost scarier. Arlong apologizes for making them go to the trouble. He's being a polite and gracious boss after his employees completed a routine task.
And they brush it off. They say it was nothing, thanks to their fishman strength and Nami's maps.
Chills, man. That line gave me chills. It lands like a second cannonball. It connects everything. Her talent, her skill, isn't just for finding treasure or navigating towards the Grand Line. In Arlong's hands, her cartography, her dream, is a weapon. She drew them the maps that let them understand the currents and reefs so perfectly they could turn a marine ship into its own coffin.
She is an essential part of their war machine. She is their intelligence officer, their strategist. Her knowledge gives them total dominion over the waters surrounding their territory, which makes Chu's next question so pointed. He asks Arlong, "Are you really gonna let her go when she gets her 100 million belly?"
Yeah, that felt loaded, like he was testing Arlong. He's not just asking out of curiosity. He's saying, "Boss, this woman is too valuable. You can't be serious about letting her walk." He knows how valuable she is. They all do. Why would Arlong ever let an asset like that walk away?
Arlong's answer is very interesting. He says he would rather die than break a promise regarding money.
Which sounds honorable, right? A pirate with a code, my word is my bond, and all that. It's the kind of thing you hear from a respectable, if ruthless, businessman.
But listen to the words. A promise regarding money. It's incredibly specific. It doesn't say he won't break other promises. It doesn't say he won't find a loophole. It's the kind of carefully worded statement that hides a blade. He's a loan shark. He deals in contracts and fine print. His honor is tied only to the letter of the law, not the spirit.
Oh, that's nasty. You're right. He's a shark in every sense of the word. He's giving himself an out. He can keep his promise about the money and still find a way to keep her. Maybe he steals the money back the moment he hands it over. Maybe the deal has a hidden clause. It's pure evil genius. And this whole conversation just reinforces how trapped Nami is. They think they're invincible with her maps. They're never letting that advantage go.
It's a cage built of words and numbers, just as strong as any iron bars. Which brings us back to the beach, back to the stunned silence.
And back to Luffy, because while everyone else is just processing the shock of Johnny's words, while Sanji and Zoro are mentally blue screening, Luffy is the first one to move. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't deliberate. He grabs Johnny by the collar, lifts him up, and just yells at him.
He tells him it's nonsense, that Nami would never, ever hurt one of her nakama. His voice is the only thing that breaks the awful silence.
This right here is why he's the captain. There is not a single shred of doubt in his heart. He doesn't ask for proof. He doesn't question Johnny's story. He doesn't say, "Are you sure?" He just rejects the premise entirely. It is fundamentally impossible in his worldview for Nami to do that. His faith is absolute.
It's the core of his character. His belief in his friends is his strongest quality. We saw it with Zoro when he was tied to the post. We saw it with Usopp when he defended his village's honor. Luffy's judgment of a person's soul is his greatest gift. It's a conviction that can bend reality.
Yes, it's not about power levels or devil fruits. It's about that bond. He knows who Nami is deep down, and he will not let anyone, not even an eyewitness, tell him otherwise. He is her captain, and he trusts her. Period. End of discussion. He is more certain of Nami's character than he is of what Johnny saw with his own 2 eyes.
It's a powerful, definitive statement of his leadership. He's not just the strongest fighter, he's the emotional anchor. He's the one who holds the compass for the crew's heart, and it is immediately, cruelly undercut.
Because just as he's making this incredible declaration of faith, a voice cuts in, cold and sharp.
Who are you calling a crewmate?
And there she is, Nami, standing there, looking at him with a coldness we've never seen from her before. And that's where the chapter ends, on a close-up of her face, devoid of all warmth. Her eyes are shadowed. The Arlong Pirates tattoo is visible on her shoulder.
It's a devastating cliffhanger. Luffy makes this grand declaration of faith, and Nami herself appears to throw it right back in his face. It's a direct refutation from the very person he's defending.
My heart, bro. It just ripped my heart out. After everything they went through to get her back, after Syrup Village and the Barati, for her to say that, it's brutal. It's like a physical blow. Oda lets Luffy have this triumphant character moment for exactly 1 panel before Nami shows up to seemingly invalidate everything he just said.
The question is, who is she saying it for? Is she saying it to Luffy, or is someone else listening? Her appearance is too perfectly timed, too theatrically staged. It comes at the precise moment of maximum dramatic impact.
It has to be a performance. It has to be. But seeing Luffy's face when she says it, Oda knows how to twist the knife. He establishes the bond, makes you believe in it, and then has one of its own members seemingly sever it right in front of you. What a chapter. It's called The Lies of the Compass, and you're left wondering which compass is lying. Nami's words, Johnny's eyes, or Luffy's heart.
A chapter that asks a lot of questions and provides very few answers, leaving us in a state of pure emotional turmoil.
That Nami cliffhanger is just, it's still sitting with me. If you've got theories on what's really going on, drop them in the comments. Is this a real betrayal? Is she protecting them by pushing them away? We want to hear what you think.
All right, let's move to predictions for Chapter 76. Franky, you first.
Okay, prediction 1. We're going to see that Usopp isn't dead. Johnny saw something that looked like a murder, but it was a setup. I think Nami stabbed a dummy or used ketchup or some kind of classic Usopp-style trick, and Usopp's hiding somewhere, maybe injured but alive. She had to sell the performance to Johnny because she knew he would report back to Luffy and make them leave the island for their own safety.
A plausible deception. The performance had to be convincing, and using one of Usopp's own tricks against him would be fitting. What else?
Prediction 2. Luffy isn't going to fight Nami. He's not even going to argue with her for long. He's going to ignore her words and walk right past her, heading for Arlong Park. He heard everything he needed to hear from Arlong's crew and the villagers. He's going to show her that her words don't matter, only her true intentions do. He's going to force the issue by going straight for the source of her pain, whether she wants him to or not.
A direct approach, which is very in character for him. To Luffy, the obstacle isn't Nami's words, it's Arlong. I like it. One more.
Prediction 3. The villagers are going to be the next victims. They saw the Marines arrive, they got their hopes up, and now they've seen them destroyed. I predict Arlong is going to make an example of someone in Kokoyasi village, maybe Gosa again or Kokoyasi itself, to crush that last bit of hope. He'll find out they cheered for the Marines and punish them for it, which will be the final trigger for Luffy to declare all-out war.
That's dark, but it tracks with Arlong's methods. Okay, my turn. My first prediction is that Nami will double down on her statement, but she'll also subtly give Luffy a clue. She'll act cold and calculating, but she'll say something that only he might understand. Maybe she mentions the 100 million belly or says something about a promise regarding money that echoes Arlong's words, giving Luffy a piece of the puzzle he's missing. She'll be testing if he's smart enough to read between the lines.
Ooh, a coded message. I could see that. She's smart enough to pull that off, trying to communicate through the performance.
My second prediction is that we're going to get a flashback. Not a big one, but a short sequence showing us what actually happened between Nami and Usopp from her perspective. It will recontextualize what Johnny saw and show us that she's playing a role. I don't think we'll be left in the dark for too long about whether she's truly turned on them, but I think the characters will be left in suspense.
Yeah, the story seems to like showing us one thing and then revealing the truth behind it. Letting us in on the secret would really increase the dramatic irony. Good call. Your last one?
My third prediction is that one of the villagers, maybe that sheriff-looking guy with the pinwheel on his hat we've seen, is going to intervene. He's clearly a protector figure for Nami. He'll see this confrontation between her and these new pirates and either try to de-escalate it or directly confront Luffy, telling him to leave Nami alone. This would add another layer of complication, with Nami's own family figure seemingly siding with her betrayal to protect her.
Man, any of those would make for a killer chapter. I just need to know what happens next. This is one of the toughest cliffhangers yet. It's an attack on the very soul of the crew.
It certainly is. A test of faith, trust, and the very definition of what it means to be Nakama. We'll find out next week if Luffy's compass holds true.